So this business about forgiveness, now, I want to tell you that whatever you got going for you in your life in the way of animosity or bitterness or anguish or pain or whatever, towards any other human being on our planet, whoever they are and what they've done, that the toxic reaction to that bitterness, it will never let go of you. That forgiveness is like the greatest motivator, if you will, in the world. Towards anyone or anything, hanging on to anything painful or hurtful and so on, I personally believe you've got to let go of. Not only do you have to let go of it, you don't have to make any phone calls. You don't have to let anybody else know that you're doing it. In your heart, you have to purify yourself in such a way that you just simply say, love is forgiving. And that's 2 words, and it's 1 word. When it's 1 word, it's love is forgiving. All right? And that's what it is. You must forgive. And it's also forgiving, so you don't ask anything back of it. After I did that, my whole life became so clear and so focused, and where I was going became so evident, and I left there and I outlined my book the following week. And let me tell you that I have never had a dream about my father since. I have never had a moment's anguish of any kind toward him or anything that he has done. In fact, I am completely at peace with him, and I send him love wherever he is, whatever is going on in who he is and where he is and what it is. It's all fine. It's all okay. In fact, without those experiences that were the result of some of the things that he had done, my opportunity to help so many people and to create wonderful things for others, including myself, would never, ever have materialized without that. And I see that, and I see the need for that, and I believe in it. And I also want to say to you, whatever you got inside of you is not the result of what anybody else puts there. It's the result of what you decide to have inside of you. Think for a minute about an orange. And when I've given this analogy many times, you take an orange and you squeeze it as hard as you can squeeze it, just, all right? And what comes out? These are easy questions, folks. Honest, don't look puzzled. Everybody passes, all right? Nobody fails tonight. What comes out is orange juice. But the question is, why, when you squeeze an orange real hard, does orange juice come out? And the answer to that is because that's what's inside. These are really easy. They get easier. All right? Now, does it matter who squeezes? Does it matter what instrument you use? Does it matter what time of the day you do it? Does it matter how you do it? When you do it? No. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out of an orange is what's inside. When you squeeze a person and put pressure on a person of any kind, and anger and hatred and stress and tension and depression come out, it isn't because of who is doing the squeezing or when they do it or how they choose to do it. It's because that's what's inside. And if you don't have it inside, it can never come out, no matter who you're living with. No matter how tough it may seem to you. And when somebody cuts you off on the freeway, and you're mad as hell and going to get even with them, and you're going to get up in front of them and slow down and make them see what it's like, it isn't because they cut you off that you're so upset. It's because that's what you carry around inside. And when you stop carrying that around inside, nothing that anybody does can upset you. No one can make a fool of you without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can depress you. No one can make you anxious. No one can hurt your feelings. No one can make you anything other than what you allow inside. You see, my evolution has brought me to the point of understanding that each human being on our planet must take total responsibility for his own inner development, And our inner development is something that we ignore a lot as we progress through this whole ladder of life. And I think of a metaphor. The metaphor is like a candle, and the candle flame that is burning inside of you, all right? Now this candle flame, if you take a candle and walk out of here this evening and you see raindrops falling, it'll blow out your candle, and the wind will blow out your candle. There's all kinds of things that are going to happen outside of you that you have absolutely no control over to blow out your candles. Your candles are getting blown out all the time. We have an inner candle flame that must never flicker, though the worst goes before us. And that's perhaps the highest place we can get to in our lives is to understand that what our own inner development, symbolized by that candle flame, must never change, must never even flicker. It is our responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for our children as well, to raise them to believe that whatever is going on inside of you is entirely up to you. You own it. It is yours.
I love surly waiters when I go to a restaurant. I do. I love to go to check in at an airport and have just a bitch to deal with when I'm getting on the plane. Imagine yourself, just for a moment, just imagine yourself going through what you are about to go through and doing it like Pollyanna. Or like, somebody, I always loved it because people often call me Pollyanna. And Marianne Williamson used to always say, Pollyanna? That's the greatest role model in the world. She said she shows up in a town and everybody's nasty and ugly and mean and poor and nobody's not, and she leaves the town and everybody's happy and joyful and people are working and, so it's like imagine yourself being able to be in the presence of this bad man. As Lao Tzu says, a bad man is a good man's job, that if you thought of this as your job, as something, like you're going to turn this guy around. It doesn't mean you're going to stay with him. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you are so firm and strong in your convictions and in your thoughts that you can look at him like Mother Teresa did and see Jesus Christ in another distressing disguise. And you are so free in that moment. And then when you start to do that, like with the surly waiter, for me, it's like the person who's, I can't wait till the end of the meal because this person is usually bringing me extra desserts and wanting to come to my house and they become, you can turn them around. And my secretary, Maya, she's been with me for 30 years. She's seen me do it 1,000 times. We walk up to check into an airplane and they tell us we can't do this and we can't do that. And she just knows, just step aside. This is like, it's time. And it's time for me to do my work. And the work is like, the work comes from a book I wrote called There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. Lord, said St. Francis, make me an instrument of thy peace. He didn't say, I don't have any peace. God, please just send me some peace. Send me a peaceful man. Send me somebody that's nice. He didn't say that. He said, make me an instrument of thy peace. In other words, let me be like what I came from. Let me be like you, what I came from. And where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is injury, let me bring pardon. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. So that when you're in a dark room, and it's totally dark, this is a very low energy. Now, when you bring light to the present, when you light a match in a dark room, you don't have to say to the darkness, you better get out of here. You're going to have to scurry because I'm about to light a candle. You don't do that. When you bring light to the presence of darkness, not only does the darkness dissolve and disappear, but the miracle is that the darkness becomes light. That's what you want to do. You want to be someone who radiates out this high spiritual energy at such a place that the great testers, like your husband, he's just a great tester. He was sent to you. My father was a great tester. He walked out on me when I was a baby. He abandoned all of us. He spent 5 years of his life in prison. He was an alcoholic. He was abusive. He never sent a penny in support. I didn't get it until I was 34 years old and went to his grave in 1974 and was able to forgive him. I feel my father's presence here right now. He was one of the most important teachers in my life, and he was a bastard by every definition. And all 5 of his wives that he abused in the same way, all of whom I researched, all said the same thing. He taught me forgiveness. And because of my ability to go to his grave in Biloxi, Mississippi on the 27th of August in 1974, I walked away from there a totally free man. I wrote Erroneous Zones in 14 days, and my whole life, everything turned around because I was able to give that hatred out of my heart. The hatred that is, and the pain that is in there. There's a Chinese proverb that says, if you're going to pursue revenge, you'd better dig 2 graves. 2 graves. One for yourself. And that whole idea that forgiveness, Mark Twain said, forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. If you can just be love, what Katie was talking about, be that, especially when he is in the picture, especially then, and turn that around, your divorce will flow smoothly. Someone came up to me with tears bigger than yours back there saying that I just turned my marriage around, and I was married to someone that I never thought. Who was the lady? There was a lady who came up to me and said that very thing not too long ago, maybe an hour ago. And I turned around a marriage that was just headed into the dumper just by practicing what we're talking about today. Is that helpful?
It is.
Good.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. God bless you.
How would we think and act in daily life if we were truly aware of our divine essence? Obviously, there wouldn't be room to reproach yourself because we wouldn't doubt our abilities. In fact, we'd never look in the mirror and feel anything but love and appreciation. We'd see ourselves as fully capable of attracting all we desire. We'd treat our body with reverence and care, giving thanks for its divine design. We'd celebrate every thought we have, knowing its divine origin, and we'd become aware of our enormous talents and be awed by all that we are. We need to encourage the awareness of our magnificence in every regard. When that awareness has been reawakened, the seedlings of inspiration will begin blossoming. Here's a way of expressing these fundamental truths offered by the writings of the Baha'i Faith. This most great, this fathomless and surging ocean is near, astonishingly near, unto you. Behold, it is closer to you than your life vein. Swift as the twinkling of an eye you can, if you but wish it, reach and partake of this imperishable favor, this God-given grace, this incorruptible gift, this most potent and unspeakably glorious bounty. There's no way to be in spirit without a changed awareness. So when we accomplish this, we give ourselves the gift of moving from being flawed, limited, lacking, and imperfect to being completely comfortable with our magnificence. This unspeakably glorious bounty is so close to us, all we have to do is make a few twinkling of an eye adjustments. So why not begin right now? Here are 3 of the most obvious and important changes in awareness that you can make. 1. Changing the awareness of our magnificent talents and abilities. I want to emphasize an extremely important point. I'm not talking about self-esteem here, nor am I referring to levels of confidence. Rather, I'm saying that we need to keep the important question, who am I, in the forefront of our mind. This question doesn't revolve around previous life experiences, has nothing to do with what we've been told our special qualities or unique abilities are, and it isn't related to how worthy or worthless we feel about ourselves. It has to do with a simple truth. As Epictetus, a philosopher in the 1st century AD, said, "You carry a God about within you, poor wretch, and know nothing of it." Just like Epictetus, who was born into slavery yet became one of our most profound teachers, we came into this world with an inexhaustible supply of talent. Our abilities are as limitless as God's are, because we're a distinct portion of the essence of Him. And there's an infallible way to begin entertaining those abilities and creating as He does. That way is to become aware that anything that excites us is a clue that we have the ability to pursue it. Anything that truly intrigues us is evidence of a divine, albeit latent, talent that's signaling our awareness. Having an interest in something is the clue to a thought that's connected to our calling. That thought is a vibration of energy in this vast universe. If something really appeals to us and we feel excited but perceive ourselves as devoid of the talent we think is necessary, it's probably an even higher vibration. Anything that's causing excitement within us is evidence of a spirit message that's saying, you can do this. Yes, you can. If we react to this message with anything other than, you're correct, I can do this, I have the ability to do it, then we've selected the vibration of resistance and ignored the vibration of excitement and interest that spoke to us. Our thoughts about who we are, what excites us, and what we feel called to be and do are all divinely inspired and come with whatever guidance and assistance we'll need to actualize these goals. The decision at this point is, are we willing to listen to these divine thoughts that pique our interest, or do we go on listening to the false self that's made us what Epictetus called a poor wretch? Rather than case studies of which I have only secondhand knowledge, I'm going to use some examples from my own life that illustrate listening to the false self. My background would appear to be an unlikely one for what I'm calling magnificence. Here's what it would look like on paper. Fathered by an alcoholic who abandoned his 3 children, childhood years spent in foster homes, a classic underachiever, educated in public schools, grew up at the low end of the socioeconomic scale, no financial advantages, no examples of or ambitions for higher education, 4 years as an enlisted man in the United States Navy, admitted to a university on a provisional acceptance at the age of 22 due to lower than average grades in high school, worked his way through 3 advanced degrees by being a cashier and a stock boy in a grocery store in Detroit. This isn't exactly what you'd call a prescription for becoming the best-selling author of 28 books and a successful public speaker. I couldn't begin to tell you how many teachers of creative writing and speech gave me low grades for my efforts in these fields. All I can say for certain is that I've always had a knowing about my interest in writing, have always been excited by the prospect of entertaining and informing an audience, any audience. By all of the accepted standards, I didn't have any writing ability. What I did have, and still do, was an interest and a passion for writing. It inspired and thrilled me, and I simply loved it. From the perspective of inspiration, I had the ability to do it, and that's all I needed to know. Then as now, I trusted that the universe would handle all of the details, including, will I be published? Will the critics approve? Will my book be a bestseller? Will my mother approve? Will I get an apology from any of my old English teachers? But really, who cares about any of this? The fact that writing excites me is all I've ever needed to know. When I follow that thought and stay with it, I conclude that I have the ability and the talent, and so do you. Like me, it's easy to find what excites you. What do you find intriguing? Does learning yoga and becoming an instructor interest you? Then you have your answer. The issue isn't about ability, it's about being matched up in spirit with your current thoughts and behaviors.
Line by Albert Einstein, when he was talking to his students about trying to solve mathematical problems and equations. He said, you can't ever solve a problem with the same mind that created it. It's what they call sometimes in management circles thinking outside of the dots or outside of the box, getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of looking at things the way you've always looked at them, and having a different kind of an awareness. I came across this quote not too long ago. Moving away the clouds does not make the sunshine. It merely reveals what was hidden all along. The sunshine, the sun is always there. And you don't make it shine by just taking things away. There's something inside all of us that is hidden. And it's the ability to, I call it rewriting our agreement with reality. It requires a new kind of awareness, a willingness, if you will, to see yourself as potentially capable of virtually anything. I've always loved the observation from the New Testament of Jesus, that even the least among you can do all that I have done and even greater things. That within each and every one of us there is this ability to be healers. There's this ability to be able to manifest and attract anything into our lives that we put our attention on. There's this ability to live at such a high level of consciousness that we can transcend our bodies. My internal wiring has always been one of whatever it is that I've got in my life as a problem, that I have to take responsibility for it, but I also have the capacity to be able to change it. And not only to change around what it is that is not working for me, but also to change around what I have been attracting into my life. I think it begins with this whole idea of being inspired. I've always liked that word, inspired, inspiration, because its origin is in spirit. And then the opposite word is being informed. And so when you're in form, in the physical world, when you're in form, you get information. You get lots of information. And this is what we call the information age, right? So there's no shortage of information. They say that on a little chip the size of your thumbnail, we can put the names and addresses of everybody in the United States and Canada on a little chip the size of your thumbnail. That's really more information, I think, than we need. What we are doing is we are moving from the age of information to the age of inspiration, I believe. And as we move into the age of inspiration, where collectively mankind is beginning to have a collective capacity to be able to think thoughts which empower us rather than which weaken us, which, according to Hawkins' research, up until about 1985 or 1986, collectively, mankind's collective thoughts always produced that which weakens us. And now, in the last few years, we have moved above the level where man's collective consciousness is at least at a place where collectively we are empowering ourselves rather than using force. And as we move into the world of inspiration, we have to understand what that means. And Patanjali had a wonderful observation. I wrote about it in Wisdom of the Ages. He said, when you are inspired, that is, in spirit, and remember, it is in the world of spirit, it is in the world of thoughts where we change, where we go to the place where we create anything we want for ourselves in our lives. So that remembering here, the theme is that you can't solve any problem that you might have in your life with the same mind that created it. So you're moving into a place now called spirit. That which is seen hath not come from that which doth appear. We're moving into the world of the invisible now. When you are inspired, and think about the moments in your life when you've had the most inspiration, inspirado. You lose any touch of fatigue. I have gone and been inspired at moments in my life when I have written for almost 24 straight hours without stopping, without eating, without thinking about sleep. I just got into one of those modes, what we call a zone sometimes, where everything just flowed. When you are in that place, you transcend everything. And you don't worry about whether people are going to call you or not call you. You don't worry about your children. You don't worry about being sick. You don't think about the cold that you might have. You don't think about being tired and how much sleep you'll need. When you're inspired, you're in spirit. When you're in spirit, you're connected to your source. And now what you're doing is you're moving out of the mindset of inform or information, which is where all problems occur in the world of the physical, and you're shifting into the world of spirit. The softer you are, the less rigid you are, the more flexible you are as a person, the more you can accomplish. And this is a great way to practice in parenting as well. And this idea that a rigid thought, how many times have you heard this idea that if I tell you something, I'm going to stay consistent with it? We have a set of rules, these are the rules, and we'll do it this way. In the Tao it says the more rules you make, the more rule breakers you create. It's true. The more rules you have in your house about how everything has to go. We had in our house, my wife would have a big jar of M&Ms. Peanuts, all these different multicolored ones. And the kids in our house, because we didn't feed them sugar and we didn't give them sodas and stuff like that, so they were just more like a decoration. Every once in a while someone would take them. They'd hardly ever be replaced. Now when we had kids come over to our house who weren't ever allowed to have such horrible things, you should have seen their behavior. They would scoop them up, they'd be putting them in their pockets, and they'd get their purses, and they'd open it up, and, the whole thing would be empty. I'd say, well, what are you doing? He said, well, you mean you could just have these whenever you want them? I said, well, we don't really have any rules about that. It's just
It's not something that we encourage or discourage. It's just there. It's like Emerson had a wonderful line. He said, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." A foolish consistency, a rigid consistency. So that there are many people who will say, if I say it on Monday, you can be absolutely certain that on Wednesday I'm going to believe the same thing, regardless of what might happen on Tuesday. Now, Tuesday might have something real that you might want to be changing your mind. You might want to say, you know, I thought that this time, but now I've seen this, and now we can shift. And you can see how this can become and so much about the Tao is on leadership. Leadership in the family, leadership in the community, leadership geopolitically. Less rigidity, more openness, more willingness to listen and say, I changed my mind. Because a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. And what I believed on Wednesday has changed because of what happened on Tuesday. Now, another important thing to say to your children, to your friends, to your lover, to your spouses, to whomever, to the people you work with, words that we're so terrified to say, but which give us a sense of living with the Tao. I don't know. I don't know. I'll look it up. Say it. I don't know. Doesn't hurt. Say it again. I don't know. Isn't it fearful? I mean, so many people, and it's like very freeing, because my kids ask me something, and I say, I don't know. They say, Dad, you know everything. You know everything. I say, well, I don't know that, and I'll look it up, or we'll try to find an answer to that, but I don't quite know. I know that I spent 20 years running, and I ran every day for 20 years, for 22 years, without missing a day. 8 miles. Never missed a day. That's rigid, all right? Some call that obsessive. But you brush your teeth every day, I used to say, and you don't call that obsessive. And you go to the bathroom every day, and you don't say, well, he's obsessively doing that again today. You don't do that. But anyway, what I learned is that even in the world of exercise, there are certain things that are built in to make us rigid, to make us stiff, to make us hard. And we lift, and we run, and we kick, and this is what we call working out. There's another kind of working out that is ancient. It goes back to the time of Lao Tzu and before, which is called yoga. And yoga means union. It means union with your source. And when you do yoga, you can stay in the same place. You can do the equivalent of 8 miles. When I used to run 8 miles, I had to run 4 miles that way, turn around, 4 miles back. And I'd be sweating. Now I can do yoga, and I can just stand in one place. And in 90 minutes, by being supple, by making myself stretch, by not being hard and rigid, I can get that out there. I can get that leg up. I can do these kinds of things. And 90 minutes later, it's like I'm totally sweating, and I feel so different. I used to, when I would go out at night to eat or something, after running so many miles, running marathons and doing those things, I'd go to get up, and it would be, okay, it's going to take a little while, because everything was so, that doesn't happen anymore, because I've given up hard. I've given up being rigid and substituted it for being supple, for being flexible, for living a life in which I don't have to always be so fierce. Listen to this verse of the Tao Te Ching. It's one of my all-time favorites, verse number 76. A man is born gentle and weak. At his death, he becomes hard and stiff. All things, including the grass and the trees, are soft and pliable in life, dry and brittle in death. Stiffness is thus a companion in death. Flexibility is a companion in life. And it's not just for how you exercise, it's how you think, how you think. The solution for me represents the ability to bring to your life something that can make these things called problems disappear, dissolve, and nullify. And that is what I spoke about when I opened up here a little while ago about energy. Energy comes in the form of fast and slow, high and low. And higher and faster energy nullifies lower and slower energy. A room full of darkness. Darkness is a lower and a slower energy, if you measure it, than is light. And when you bring light to the presence of a dark room, the darkness disappears. And that is a metaphor for every single one of the problems and concerns and struggles that you are facing in your life. And way back, 800 years ago, there lived a little man who gave up all of his possessions. He lived in a little village in Italy, near Florence, called Assisi. And we named one of our most famous cities in America after him. His name was Francesco, or as he became known later after his passing, St. Francis of Assisi. And I went to Assisi, and I had miracles that took place for me in visiting Assisi on several occasions. And St. Francis was one of these people who created a prayer that is perhaps the most well-known prayer on the planet today, certainly one of them. How can I become an instrument of thy peace? The ego is the part of us that wants to be at war, that wants to defeat, that wants to collect, that wants to be better than, that wants to always get more. The sacred or the highest part of ourselves is the part of us that just wants to be at peace. How can I become an instrument of peace? Not someone who's looking for peace, but someone who delivers it. There are opportunities every day. I was in a gas station just a few days ago, and in this gas station they had a car wash. And there was a young boy, he was maybe 18 or 19 years old, and he didn't speak English very well, and he couldn't figure out how to work the car wash. And he had put $2 in, and apparently it required $3. And he was in there waiting to pay for his car wash and trying to get an answer to why he couldn't get it to work. And I had just gotten some gasoline, and I walked in, and there was this man behind the counter berating this young boy and humiliating him and talking to him. And because he didn't understand the language, he talked louder to him. You know how people do that? You know, if someone doesn't understand you, you say, what I said is, and they say, I don't understand, and then you say it even louder. Well, that's what he was doing to this young boy. And I saw this is an opportunity right here, in this instant, to be an instrument of peace. And I put my arm around the young man, and I said, come with me. And I walked out to the machine, and I took $1, and I put it in and he walked away, and he was just so happy. One tiny little incident. These kinds of things, I suggest to you that you take this day and look for 5 occasions to be an instrument of peace. And you'll find one when you're on your way home, on the freeway. You'll find somebody who isn't going to let you get in. You find somebody who doesn't want to let you pass. And instead of giving them a hard time or being angry at them, try sending something called peace their way. There's a wonderful line that I have on the dashboard of my car. It says, I can choose peace rather than this. And it's always a reminder that no matter how what I'm experiencing in my life, I want to be an instrument of peace. It's been said that the 3 most difficult things to do in the world are this. The first is to send love in response to hatred. The second is to defend the absent. That is, whoever's being gossiped about, you become their spokesperson. I do this with my children all the time when they're all saying this, and then she said that, and he said that. I'll say, excuse me, but who is defending the absent person here? Well, why should anybody defend her? I'll say, well, I'll just take her position right now, if you don't mind. And the third is to admit when you were wrong. And it doesn't mean necessarily to say, I just made a mistake. It means to say, I have been making the wrong kinds of choices in my life with my mind. I've been putting my attention on what I don't want, on what others want for me, on what the world ought to be, on what it used to be, and I can't understand why it just keeps showing up, what I don't want, what others want for me, what I despise. I have to admit, almost I have to rewrite my agreement with reality.
And so much of what St. Francis was speaking about back in the 13th century, because he was a man who was ridiculed wherever he went. And he was just out there trying to teach people to bring the solution, spiritual solution to your problems. If hatred is existing in your world, that's an energy field. It's a lower and a slow energy than the energy of love. If you can bring love to the presence of that hatred, it will be nullified just as if you were bringing light to darkness. But for most of us, what we do when we see hatred is we respond in kind to that hatred. Whatever choice you make in every interaction you have, make the choice to be at peace, your sacred or higher self says. Whereas your ego says, oh, no. It's much more important to be right. And so we find people in relationships struggling a lot. And one of the things that they struggle about is who's right and who's wrong. Most of the fights that you have in your relationships really basically, it's oftentimes you forget the details. But it's basically about who's right and who's wrong. So that if you want to have your higher or your sacred part of you ruling in your life, I suggest this to you. Practice being kind rather than right. When you have the choice, and you have the choice in your relationships with your spouse and your ex-spouse, with your parents, with your grandparents, with your in-laws, with strangers on the freeway, with flight attendants, with waiters, with whomever you interact, if you can just subdue this ego part of you which says, it's important for me to be right, which will introduce you to stress and anxiety and fear and so much of the stuff that I talked about earlier, and instead say, how can I suspend this part of me and allow the part of me that wants to be at peace, that wants to be happy, that wants to be fulfilled. And if I said to you, I'm going to give you a magic wand, and with this magic wand, I am going to allow you to just wave it and get anything that you want. Whatever you want. You can have this car, you can have these nice clothes over here, you can have this home, whatever it is. Or I said to you, in lieu of that, I'm going to give you another wand, and you can wave this, and for every moment for the rest of your life, you'll be at peace. Whatever comes along, you'll be able to choose peace. And basically, we know that we're only here for a very short time. And being able to choose peace, which is what the sacred part of you begs you, the higher self. Once you get that, you begin to shift away, and you stop telling yourself that the people who are close to me, in relationship with me, are the people who don't belong there. I remember my wife and I, we often talk about this, and we've been together a long time. We've had many children together, and we have a very wonderful, loving relationship. Thank you. But we'd often, and one time I said to her, or she said to me, you know, we love each other, but this doesn't sound like love. Sometimes the way we talk to each other doesn't sound like love. Let's practice with each other, being kind rather than being right. And it was transformative that when we had that walk. And doing that with your children, and doing that with a waiter. I mean, a waiter who comes to you and is like, you know, hassled and frazzled and has been busy and all of that, and your ego says, wait a minute, I'm here and I'm important, and I have a right to be served, and I have a right to be served now. That's the ego part of you. If you can suspend that and say, you know, you are a lucky man tonight. You got somebody who's stealing from his sacred self. And I understand. And you take your time, and you come to me, and you bring it at your convenience, whenever you can. I'm willing to suspend my... And you know what? You'll get served so fast, and with such gratitude, just for being kind, if you practice it.
Every single one of us are in relationship, whether it's with our husbands and wives, with our ex-husbands and wives, with our children, our grandchildren, whether it's with people we drive along the freeway next to, whether it's with waiters and waitresses, or baggage handlers, or flight attendants, or people that we are in line to get into the movie. We're all in relationships, and we interact with each other all the time. And probably the best lesson that I've ever learned in my life about how to be in a relationship in a way which is powerful and happy and fulfilling is to remember this sentence. When you have a choice, and you always do, to be right or to be kind, start picking kind. The ego part of us wants to be right.
How dare you not serve me as fast as I think I deserve to be served? How dare you say something to me? And immediately we want to make that other person wrong and make ourselves right. But there's a part of each one of us that wants to be happy, wants to be at peace. And that part of us says, it doesn't matter whether you're right. It doesn't matter about your ego. All you want is to be at peace, so pick kind. This kind of an attitude, if we had more of this, not only in our own personal lives, would we improve virtually every relationship we have with all of the people closest to us and all of the strangers we interact with. But on our planet as well, we would begin to understand the wisdom that on a round planet, there's no choosing up sides, that we're all one. We're all breathing the same air. We're all drinking the same water. We're all being warmed by the same sun. And as they say, as the Native Americans used to say, no tree has branches so foolish as to fight among themselves. It applies in your relationships, and it applies as a people as well.
You begin to sense there's trouble ahead. And so you look at a group of people that are standing on a corner and you think that could be trouble. And your intuition says, run around them rather than next to them. And you run and you avoid that. And something tells you when you're walking out of a parking lot, there's some intuitive sense that says, I think I should have somebody accompany me when I'm doing this. And you listen to that intuition. Sometimes it isn't there and it's not necessary. When it's there, you pay attention. You begin, synchronicity isn't any more confusing than the thought that exists between a mother and her baby. It's not any more difficult to understand than the idea of a remote control in your television set. And when we then have these synchronistic events in which we access our intuition, and what I'm suggesting is that when you reach these higher frequencies, intuition, insight, creativity, all of these things become negotiable. You can access them. You have the knowing. Because when you form a picture in your head of what you would like to attract into your life, you can begin to attract abundance and virtually anything else that you put your attention on. It's a law of the universe. Get that picture. See yourself as if you already are what you'd like to become, and every great artist, every great thinker is able to do just that. They have been able to see themselves as completing something. Do you know how difficult it is for so many people who get into a doctoral program? I think the statistics are that out of every 10 people admitted into a PhD program, 1 completes it. 9 out of 10 never complete it because they can't picture themselves writing a dissertation. The reason that I knew when I entered a doctoral program and was told that 9 out of 10 don't complete it, I already saw myself as having my doctorate. And I just knew that that was something that I had to do. And I suggest that there are people right in here, there are physicians in here, who probably entered medical school. There's a lady right here in the front who entered medical school. How many women who enter medical school complete the entire process and become medical doctors and have a practice? It's getting higher, but the statistics are against you as you enter something like that. But if you see yourself as having a practice, you see yourself as a healer, you see yourself as someone who is capable of becoming a doctor or anything else in your life, if you see it and get that picture, and I can't tell you, I try to teach this to my children, my daughter who wants to sing, I just said, sing. See yourself as a singer. Get that picture, and no matter what comes your way, don't ever let anybody ever tell you that it won't happen. You can let them tell you, and all you have to do is use that as a way to step into the gap and then out of the gap over here into the world of spirit and bring that energy of knowing, that energy of insight, that energy of intuition. Are you listening, Jennifer? Because if you have that picture, there's nothing that can stop you. And you don't evaluate whether or not you are successful on the basis of whether people buy your CDs.
That's the biggest mistake you could make. Or whether people read your books, or whether people want to come and hear your lectures or buy your tapes. You don't do it that way. You evaluate whether or not you are a success by being one of those people who's on the road that's hardly ever crowded and enjoying everything that they do because they're seeing themselves as someone who couldn't be any place else. And you no longer find enlightenment through suffering. You no longer find enlightenment through having an awareness in the moment of what it is that you need to do to learn the lesson that's happening for you right now. You are now a person who's out in front of yourself, and you see it coming. And that makes you a master who lives coincidences, not in the sense of them being accidents, but having a perfect fit.
I think the most important thing that you can get out of this is to understand that you are a choice-making individual, and that all of the conditions that you find yourself in your life, all of the circumstances of your life, all of the emotional reactions that you have to all of the people and all of the things and events and so on that take place in your life are really choices. And that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people to get, because they're raised to believe that I can't help the way I feel. I have a right to be miserable when somebody treats me in a certain way. I can't help it. I've always been that way. It's just my nature. It's just the kind of person that I am.
This waiter was directly from Italy and was serving this wonderful pasta and all of these things. And he was a madman. He was a maniac. Every customer was getting him all upset. He would talk to the other head waiters and running back and forth and getting himself all worked up. Finally, I said, come on over here. Said, what are you doing this for? I do this all the time. You do therapy wherever you go, right? I said, what are you taking this so serious? All you're doing is serving spaghetti. It's no big deal. I said to him, you know, before you're 50 years old, you're going to have a heart attack. Guarantee it, if you continue to behave that way every day. He said, look, what do you expect from me? I'm Italian. So, oh, well, that explains it. I mean, his rationale for his behavior was, I can't do anything about it, I inherited it. You know, I just got deficient anger genes. I mean, I've heard kids say that, you know, when they're failing math. I can't help it. My father was lousy at math, my grandfather was lousy. I inherited, you know, deficient math genes. It's just not my fault. I can't do anything about it. The fact is that anything that goes on inside of you that is immobilizing, that gets in your way, that keeps you from functioning in the ways that you would like to function, that stops you from reaching your goals, whatever they may be in your life, anything inside, you choose. It's yours. You own it all. And if you don't like anything about yourself, anything, are you shy? Are you nervous? Are you afraid? Are you somebody who can't handle getting up in front of group because it scares you? Are you someone who gets angry too much? Do you find yourself being manipulated and controlled by other people too often? Are you afraid to stand up for what you believe? Are you a terrible cook? Are you lousy at tennis? You haven't got a backhand? Whatever it may be, it doesn't make any difference. You are the sum total of the choices that you make in your life. If you don't buy that, if you buy into another system, which a lot of psychologists will teach you, which is it's in your unconscious. You can't help it. After all, you're a middle child. What do you expect from a middle child? You know, certainly can't have any identity of your own. Or maybe you're an only child. Oh, God. Maybe you're the youngest of 12. You had 11 parents, you know, all your life. Somebody telling you what to do from the time you, or maybe you were the oldest and you had to be a parent for 9 others or whatever. You can use any excuse that you want, or you can just say, the devil made me do it, or it's God's fault. You know, a lot of people blame God. God and mother are most responsible for all of the things that are wrong with us, you know.
the classic, the one I heard over and over and over again in all the years. And I announced it on network television one night. I said, I came here tonight for one reason. I want to tell everybody in America that your mother liked your sister better. I heard it every day for 20 years. It must be true. I can't do it. My mother liked my sister better. No wonder I get it. She was the one that got all the attention. I didn't get anything. Her pictures and all the photographs. Nothing for me. I know some of you don't have a sister, and you think, well, then that's not the reason. She wanted one. Really. And she would have liked her better. I guarantee it, It's taking responsibility for everything that goes on in your life, which is what Wayne Dyer is about, if you really want to take it home to anybody else. No blame is allowed for anything that goes on in your life. Virtually everything in your life boils down to what kinds of attitudes, what kinds of beliefs do you have about any given situation. You try to set your expectations in such a way so that you understand that your life is nothing more than a series of choices.
I've been on this earth for over 80 years now, and in that time I've learned a thing or two about life. One of the most profound realizations I've had is this: stop choosing what's not choosing you. It sounds simple, but it's a truth that can change your entire perspective if you truly embrace it. Too often we find ourselves chasing after things that simply aren't meant for us. We pursue relationships with people who don't reciprocate our feelings. We strive for careers that don't align with our passions. And we cling to dreams that, deep down, we know aren't realistic. We waste so much time and energy trying to force pieces into a puzzle that they were never designed to fit into. But here's the thing: life has a way of guiding us towards what's truly meant for us. When we're on the right path, doors open effortlessly. Opportunities arise as if by magic. The right people come into our lives at precisely the right moments. It's almost as if the universe is conspiring in our favor. On the flip side, when we're chasing after something that's not meant for us, we face resistance at every turn. We struggle, we fight, we push against the current, but no matter how hard we try, we just can't seem to make progress. That's because we're swimming upstream, trying to go against the natural flow of our lives. I remember when I was younger, I had my heart set on becoming a lawyer. I studied pre-law in college, spent countless hours preparing for the LSAT, and even got accepted into a prestigious law school. But as I embarked on that journey, something just didn't feel right. I felt like I was forcing myself into a mold that didn't quite fit. It wasn't until I took a step back and really listened to my intuition that I realized law wasn't my true calling. Instead, I felt drawn towards business and entrepreneurship. I decided to take a leap of faith and pursue that path instead, even though it meant starting over in many ways. And you know what? As soon as I made that shift, everything began to fall into place. I met the right mentors, stumbled upon incredible opportunities, and found a sense of fulfillment that I had never experienced before. It was as if the universe was rewarding me for finally listening to my inner voice and aligning myself with my true purpose. The same principle applies to relationships. How many times have you found yourself pining after someone who just isn't interested? You send them texts that go unanswered. You go out of your way to bump into them. You try to convince them to give you a chance, but despite your best efforts, they just aren't receptive. Meanwhile, there may be someone else right in front of you who is ready and willing to love you the way you deserve, someone who appreciates your quirks, who supports your dreams, who makes you feel alive and inspired. But because you're so focused on chasing the person who isn't choosing you, you might miss out on the incredible love that's been waiting for you all along. It's a hard truth to swallow, but sometimes the people we want the most are the ones who are the least right for us. And the sooner we can accept that and redirect our energy towards those who truly value us, the sooner we can find the happiness and fulfillment we seek. The same goes for our careers and our passions. Too many people stay stuck in dead-end jobs because they're afraid to take a risk and pursue something new.
They convince themselves that they're not qualified, that they don't have what it takes, or that the timing isn't right. But the truth is, if you have a burning desire to do something different with your life, there's no better time than now to go for it. Sure, making a major life change can be scary. It requires courage, faith, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. But the alternative is far worse, living a life of regret, wondering what could have been if only you had been brave enough to follow your heart. I'll never forget the moment I decided to leave my corporate job and start my own business. It was terrifying. And there were plenty of people who told me I was crazy for giving up a stable paycheck to pursue such an uncertain path. But deep down, I knew it was what I was meant to do. I had a vision for my life that couldn't be contained within the walls of a cubicle, and I was willing to risk everything to bring that vision to life. And you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. Yes, there were challenges and setbacks along the way, but the rewards have been beyond anything I could have imagined. I wake up every day excited to do work that I love, to make a positive impact on the world, and to live life on my own terms. And none of that would have been possible if I had chosen to stay stuck in a career that wasn't choosing me. So my challenge to you today is this: take a good hard look at your life and ask yourself if you're choosing things that are truly choosing you back. Are you in relationships that uplift and inspire you, or are you settling for less than you deserve? Are you doing work that lights you up inside, or are you just going through the motions to collect a paycheck? Are you pursuing dreams that make your heart sing, or are you letting fear and doubt hold you back? If you find that you're choosing things that aren't choosing you, it's time to make a change. It's time to let go of what's no longer serving you and make space for what's truly meant for you. It might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, but I promise you this: when you align yourself with what's authentically right for you, magic happens. Doors that were once closed suddenly swing wide open. People who were once strangers become your biggest supporters. Opportunities that you never could have imagined start falling into your lap. It's as if the universe is saying, finally, you're on the right track. Here's everything you need to make your dreams a reality. But it all starts with a choice to honor yourself, to listen to your inner wisdom, and to trust that life is always guiding you towards your highest good. A choice to let go of what's not meant for you and embrace what is. I know it's not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments when you question everything. But in those moments, I want you to remember this: you are worthy of a life that feels good. You are deserving of relationships that nourish your soul, work that ignites your passion, and experiences that fill you with joy. And the only way to create that kind of life is by choosing what chooses you. So start today. Start small if you need to, but start somewhere. Let go of one thing that's been weighing you down and open yourself up to something new. Trust your instincts, follow your heart, and believe that the universe has your back. Because when you do, I promise you this: your life will unfold in ways more beautiful than you ever could have imagined. It's not about forcing things to happen or trying to control every outcome. It's about surrendering to the flow of life and allowing yourself to be guided towards what's truly meant for you. It's about having faith that even when things don't go according to plan, there's always a higher purpose at work. I've seen it time and time again in my own life. Moments that felt like setbacks actually turned out to be blessings in disguise. Relationships that ended painfully cleared the way for new love to enter. Failures that felt devastating paved the way for even greater successes. It's all part of the journey, and every experience is a chance to learn, grow, and evolve. So embrace the ups and downs, the twists and turns, the unexpected detours. Trust that every step is leading you closer to your true path, even if it doesn't always feel that way in the moment. And most importantly, never stop listening to that inner voice that knows without a shadow of a doubt what's right for you. It might whisper at first, but the more you listen, the louder it will become. And as you start to align your life with its guidance, you'll find that everything begins to flow with more ease and grace. You'll attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences like a magnet. You'll feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment that you never knew was possible. But it all starts with a willingness to let go of what's not choosing you. a willingness to make space for what's truly meant for you, a willingness to trust in the journey and believe that your best life is waiting for you just on the other side of your comfort zone. So take a deep breath, summon your courage, and take that first step. Choose what chooses you and watch as your world begins to transform in ways you never could have imagined. It won't always be easy, but I promise you this, it will always be worth it. Because at the end of the day, life is too short to settle for anything less than what sets your soul on fire. You deserve to wake up every morning feeling excited, inspired, and alive. You deserve to be surrounded by people who love and appreciate you for exactly who you are. You deserve to do work that fills you with a sense of purpose and meaning. And most of all, you deserve to live a life that feels authentic, joyful, and true to your deepest desires. So stop choosing what's not choosing you and start embracing what is. Trust the journey, trust yourself, and trust that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. And remember, no matter what challenges you face along the way, you have everything you need within you to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. It's time to stop settling, stop compromising, and start living the life you were born to live. It's time to choose yourself, choose your dreams, and choose a future that fills you with excitement and possibility. Because when you do, I promise you this, the best is yet to come. When I was in my 20s, I found myself in a relationship that I thought was the real deal. We had been together for years, and I had convinced myself that this person was my soulmate, my forever partner. I had invested so much time, energy, and emotion into the relationship that I couldn't imagine my life without them. But as time went on, I started to notice little signs that something wasn't quite right. We would have arguments that never seemed to get resolved. We had different values and goals for the future, and I often felt like I was compromising my own needs and desires to keep the peace. But still, I held on, convinced that if I just tried harder, loved more, and gave more of myself, things would eventually work out. It wasn't until a close friend of mine sat me down and had a heart-to-heart with me that I finally started to see the truth. She pointed out all the ways in which this relationship was draining me, holding me back, and keeping me from being my authentic self. She reminded me of all the dreams and goals I had put on hold because they didn't align with what my partner wanted for us. And most importantly, she made me see that I deserved so much more than what I was settling for. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew in my heart that she was right. I had been choosing someone who wasn't really choosing me back, at least not in the way I needed and deserved. I had been pouring my heart and soul into a relationship that was never going to be what I truly wanted, no matter how hard I tried. So I made the difficult decision to end things and strike out on my own. It was scary, and there were moments when I doubted myself and wondered if I had made the right choice. But as time went on, I started to notice something incredible happening. Suddenly, I had all this time and energy to focus on myself and my own goals. I started pursuing passions and hobbies that I had let fall by the wayside. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones, and I started to feel a sense of joy and freedom that I hadn't experienced in years. And then when I least expected it, I met someone new, someone who shared my values, supported my dreams, and loved me for exactly who I was. It was like the universe had been waiting for me to let go of what wasn't serving me so that it could bring me something even better. And as I look back on that time in my life, I realized that none of it would have been possible if I had stayed in that old relationship, settling for less than I deserved. So, if you find yourself in a similar situation, whether it's in your relationships, your career, or any other area of your life, I want you to remember this: you are worthy of so much more than you can even imagine. You deserve to be with someone who chooses you every single day, who supports your dreams and encourages you to be your best self. You deserve to do work that fills you with passion and purpose, and to be surrounded by people who uplift and inspire you. But to attract those things into your life, you have to be willing to let go of what's no longer serving you. You have to be willing to make space for something new, even if it's scary and uncertain. And most importantly, you have to be willing to choose yourself, even when it means making difficult decisions and facing your fears head-on. I know it's not easy. Believe me, I've been there. But I also know that on the other side of that fear lies a life beyond your wildest dreams, a life where you wake up every day feeling excited, inspired, and alive. A life where you're surrounded by people who love and appreciate you for exactly who you are. A life where you're doing work that fills you with a sense of purpose and meaning. And the only way to create that kind of life is by being true to yourself, listening to your inner voice, and choosing what truly chooses you. It might mean ending a relationship that's no longer serving you, even if it's painful in the moment. It might mean leaving a job that's draining your energy and pursuing a new career path, even if it's risky and uncertain. It might mean letting go of old habits, beliefs, and patterns that are holding you back, even if it's uncomfortable and unfamiliar. But I promise you this, when you have the courage to let go of what's not meant for you and embrace what is, your life will transform in ways you never could have imagined. You'll attract abundance, joy, and fulfillment beyond your wildest dreams. You'll discover a sense of purpose and meaning that you never knew existed. And most importantly, you'll become the person you were always meant to be: authentic, empowered, and unapologetically yourself. So start today. Take a good, hard look at your life and ask yourself what you need to let go of in order to make space for something better. Trust your instincts, listen to your heart, and believe in yourself every step of the way. And remember, no matter what challenges you face along the journey, you have everything you need within you to create a life that feels good, a life that chooses you back. It's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about being willing to grow, to learn, and to evolve. It's about having the courage to face your fears and take bold action towards your dreams. And most of all, it's about believing in yourself and your ability to create a life that truly fulfills you. I know it can be tempting to stay in your comfort zone, to settle for what's familiar and safe, but I'm here to tell you that there's so much more waiting for you on the other side of that fear. There's a whole world of possibilities, experiences, and relationships that you can't even imagine yet. And the only way to discover them is by being willing to let go of what's holding you back and step into the unknown. So take a deep breath, summon your courage, and trust that the universe has your back. Believe that every challenge, every setback, every heartbreak is leading you closer to your true path. And know that when you choose what chooses you, everything else will fall into place in perfect timing. It might not happen overnight, and there will undoubtedly be moments of doubt and uncertainty along the way. But I promise you this, when you stay true to yourself and keep choosing what feels authentic and aligned, your life will unfold in ways that are better than you ever could have planned. You'll look back on this moment and realize that everything you went through, every challenge you faced, every risk you took was all leading you to exactly where you were meant to be. And you'll feel a sense of gratitude and awe for the incredible journey that brought you to this point. So don't wait another moment to start living the life you truly want. Don't waste another day settling for less than you deserve. Choose yourself, choose your dreams, and choose a future that fills you with excitement and possibility. And remember, every step of the way, that you are not alone. There are countless others who have walked this path before you, who have faced their fears and taken bold leaps towards their dreams. Draw strength and inspiration from their stories and know that if they can do it, so can you. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who support your vision, and who inspire you to be your best self. Seek out mentors, coaches, and communities that can guide you along the way and help you navigate the ups and downs of the journey. And most importantly, never stop believing in yourself and your ability to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. So go out there and make it happen. Embrace your true path, follow your heart, and never ever settle for less than you deserve. The world is waiting for you to step into your greatness, and I have no doubt that you have everything it takes to make your wildest dreams a reality. Believe in yourself, believe in your journey, and believe that the universe is always on your side. And remember every step of the way that you are worthy, you are capable, and you are destined for greatness. So keep choosing what chooses you and watch as your life unfolds in ways more beautiful than you ever could have imagined. Thank you. I stand before you today to issue a challenge to conquer your limits. For too long, we have allowed fears, doubts, and excuses to hold us back from achieving our true potential. But I'm here to tell you that it's time to break free from those self-imposed chains and embrace the power that lies within each and every one of you. You see, the human spirit is an incredible force capable of overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles if we only have the courage to try. But courage alone is not enough. We must also cultivate an unwavering determination, a relentless drive to keep pushing forward no matter what life throws our way. I know this from personal experience. There was a time in my life when I felt lost, trapped by my own limitations and the weight of others' expectations. But then something shifted within me. I realized that I had been living a life defined by fear, letting my insecurities dictate my actions and hold me back from reaching for my dreams. It was a powerful realization, one that forced me to confront some harsh truths about myself. I had become complacent, content to settle for a life of mediocrity rather than risking failure in pursuit of something greater. But in that moment of clarity, I vowed to change. I refused to be a prisoner of my own mind any longer. The journey that followed was not an easy one. Breaking free from the shackles of self-doubt and negative thinking required a complete overhaul of my mindset and approach to life. It meant pushing myself to my absolute limits, both physically and mentally, in order to break through the barriers I had erected around my true potential. There were times when the pain was almost too much to bear, when every fiber of my being screamed for me to give up and retreat back to the comfortable familiarity of my old ways. But I refused to surrender. I dug deep, tapping into a reservoir of strength and resilience that I never knew existed within me. And as I pushed through those limits, something incredible happened. I began to expand my boundaries, to redefine what was possible for myself. Suddenly, goals that had once seemed unattainable were within my reach. Obstacles that had once seemed insurmountable became mere speed bumps on the road to success. The more I conquered, the more empowered I became. Each triumph, no matter how small, fueled my determination and bolstered my confidence. I began to see the world through a new lens, one that was no longer clouded by fear and self-doubt. And as I continued on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth, I came to realize a profound truth: our limits are not fixed, immutable boundaries, but rather self-imposed constructs that we have the power to transcend. You see, the human mind is an incredible thing. It has the capacity to adapt, to evolve, to push beyond its perceived limitations in ways that we can scarcely imagine. But in order to unlock that potential, we must first be willing to challenge our own beliefs about what is possible. We must be willing to venture into the unknown, to embrace discomfort and uncertainty, and to confront our deepest fears head-on. It is only by stepping outside of our comfort zones and pushing ourselves to our absolute limits that we can truly begin to grow and transform. I know this path is not an easy one. It requires immense courage, unwavering determination, and a willingness to endure pain and struggle. But I promise you, the rewards of conquering your limits are beyond measure. When you break through those self-imposed boundaries, you will experience a sense of freedom and empowerment that is unlike anything else. You will tap into a wellspring of confidence and self-belief that will propel you to new heights of achievement and success. You will no longer be held back by the fears and doubts that once shackled you. Instead, you will embrace every challenge as an opportunity to grow, to push yourself further, and to redefine what is possible. And perhaps most importantly, you will serve as an inspiration to others, a living embodiment of the transformative power of courage, determination, and an unwavering belief in one's own potential. So I implore you, my friends, to embrace this challenge. Commit yourselves to the journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Dare to dream bigger, to push harder, and to conquer the limits that have held you back for far too long. It won't be easy. In fact, it will be one of the most difficult undertakings of your life. But I promise you, the rewards will be worth every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears you pour into the pursuit of your true potential. Imagine a world where we are no longer constrained by the limits we have placed upon ourselves. Imagine a world where we are free to pursue our wildest dreams and ambitions unshackled by fear and self-doubt. That world is within our grasp, my friends, but only if we have the courage to reach out and seize it. So let us forge ahead together, united in our quest to conquer our limits and unlock the boundless potential that lies within each and every one of us. Let us embrace the struggle, the discomfort, and the pain that comes with pushing ourselves to our absolute limits, for it is through that crucible that we will emerge stronger, more resilient, and more empowered than ever before. The path ahead will not be easy, but I promise you it will be worth it. For on the other side of those limits lies a world of possibility and personal greatness that you have yet to even imagine. So take that first step, my friends. Confront your fears, silence your doubts, and embark on the journey of a lifetime. The road may be long and arduous, but I will be there with you every step of the way, cheering you on and reminding you of the incredible power that lies dormant within you. Together, we will conquer our limits and usher in a new era of human potential, one where the boundaries of what is possible are shattered and our dreams become reality. The choice is yours, my friends. Will you remain shackled by the limits you have placed upon yourselves, or will you rise up and embrace the challenge of conquering those boundaries? The decision is yours, but I implore you to choose the path of courage, determination, and personal growth. For it is only by venturing beyond our self-imposed limits that we can truly begin to unlock the full scope of our potential and live the extraordinary lives we were meant to lead. So let us embark on this journey together, united in our quest to conquer our limits and redefine what is possible. The road ahead may be long and difficult, but the rewards that await us on the other side are beyond measure. Are you ready to take that first step? Are you ready to embrace the struggle, the pain, and the discomfort that comes with pushing yourself to your absolute limits? If so, then join me, my friends, and let us write a new chapter in the story of human potential, one where our limits are shattered and our dreams become reality. The time for excuses and self-doubt is over. The time for action, for courage, and for unwavering determination is now. So let us raise our voices in a collective battle cry, a rallying call to arms against the limits that have held us back for far too long. Together, we will conquer these boundaries and unlock a world of limitless possibility. Together, we will redefine what it means to be human and push the boundaries of our potential further than ever before. So who's with me? Who is ready to take that first step on the journey to conquering their limits and achieving greatness beyond their wildest dreams? If you are, then let your voices be heard. Let the world know that we are no longer content to be shackled by the chains of fear and self-doubt. For today, my friends, we declare our independence from the limits that have held us back for far too long. Today, we embark on a new path, one that leads us to the heights of personal achievement and self-actualization. So let us go forth with courage and determination, united in our quest to conquer our limits and unlock the boundless potential that lies within each and every one of us. The road ahead may be long and difficult, but together we are unstoppable. So who's with me? Who is ready to take that first step towards conquering their limits and achieving greatness beyond their wildest dreams? If you are, then let your voices be heard. Let the world know that we are no longer content to be shackled by the chains of fear and self-doubt. For today, my friends, we declare our independence from the limits that have held us back for far too long. Today, we embark on a new path, one that leads us to the heights of personal achievement and self-actualization. I can sense the energy in this room, the fire burning within each of you as you prepare to embark on this transformative journey. But let me be clear, conquering your limits will not be easy. It will require every ounce of grit, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in yourselves. There will be times when the path seems too difficult, when the pain and struggle threaten to overwhelm you. The voice of doubt will creep into your mind, whispering insidiously that you should give up, that you've pushed yourself far enough. But in those moments, you must remain resolute. You must silence that voice and remind yourself of why you embarked on this quest in the first place. For some of you, it may be a lifelong dream that has remained just out of reach, a goal that has taunted you from the shadowy realm of the impossible. For others, it may be a deep-seated desire to prove your worth to yourself and to the world around you. And for others still, it may simply be a burning passion to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible, to redefine the limits of your own potential. Whatever your reason, cling to it fiercely. Let it be your guiding light, your unwavering beacon in the darkest moments of struggle and adversity. For for make no mistake, those moments will come. The road to conquering your limits is paved with obstacles and setbacks, each one a test of your resolve and determination. But it is in those moments of intense struggle, when every fiber of your being screams for you to surrender, that the true power of the human spirit is revealed. It is in those crucibles of adversity that heroes are forged, that ordinary individuals transcend the boundaries of what was once thought possible. I have witnessed this transformation firsthand, both in myself and in others who have dared to embrace the challenge of conquering their limits. I have seen men and women, once crippled by fear and self-doubt, rise up and achieve feats that would have seemed utterly impossible to their former selves. I have watched as they shed the shackles of their own limiting beliefs, shedding layer after layer of self-imposed constraints until they stood before me, radiant and transformed, basking in the glory of their hard-won triumphs. And in those moments, I have seen something truly remarkable, a fire in their eyes, a burning intensity that can only be kindled by the forge of adversity and the crucible of personal growth. It is a look of profound self-belief, of unwavering confidence in one's own abilities, and an unshakable determination to push forward, no matter what obstacles may arise. That fire, my friends, is the mark of a true conqueror, one who has stared down their limits and emerged victorious. And it is that fire that I wish to ignite within each and every one of you today. But to do so, you must be prepared to endure hardship and struggle unlike anything you have ever experienced before. You must be willing to push yourself to the very brink of your physical and mental limits, to venture into that dark abyss where the demons of doubt and fear reside, and to emerge triumphant, your spirit forged in the fires of adversity. It will not be an easy path, but I promise you the rewards that await you on the other side are beyond measure. For when you conquer your limits, you will experience a sense of freedom and empowerment that is unparalleled. You will shed the shackles of self-doubt and negative thinking that have held you back for far too long, and you will emerge as a force of nature, unstoppable and unstoppable in your pursuit of greatness. For today, we declare our independence from the limits that have held us back for far too long. Today, we embrace the struggle, the adversity, and the pain that comes with pushing ourselves to our absolute limits. And tomorrow, and every day thereafter, we will continue on this journey, ever onward and upward, conquering our limits one by one, until we stand as living embodiments of the boundless potential that lies within the human spirit. So let us go forth, my friends, and conquer the impossible. Let us shatter the boundaries that have constrained us for far too long and forge a new reality, one where our dreams become manifest and our potential is limitless. Who's with me? Have you ever felt like a volcano on the brink of eruption, your blood boiling, fist clenched, ready to explode at any moment? We've all been there. But what if I told you that this force, this raw, unbridled anger doesn't have to control you? What if instead you could harness it, shape it, and use it to fuel your greatest achievements? Today we're going to embark on a journey of self-discovery, of mastery over our emotions, and ultimately of freedom. Freedom from the chains of uncontrolled anger that have held us back for far too long. I stand before you not as someone who's never felt anger, but as someone who's learned to dance with it, to understand it, to make it work for me rather than against me. And I'm here to show you how you can do the same. Let's start with a simple truth. Anger is a part of our human experience. It's as natural as breathing, as inevitable as the changing of seasons. But here's where many of us go wrong. We see anger as our enemy, something to be suppressed, hidden away in the darkest corners of our psyche. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if anger, when understood and channeled correctly, could be one of our greatest allies? Think about it. When you're angry, you're passionate, you're energized, you're ready to take action. These are powerful forces that, when directed properly, can move mountains. The problem isn't the anger itself. It's our relationship with it. It's how we choose to express it or not express it. It's about control. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Controlling your anger isn't about suppressing it or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about understanding it, embracing it, and then channeling it in a way that serves you and those around you. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was stuck in traffic. I mean, really stuck. The kind of gridlock that makes you question every life decision that led you to this moment. I could feel the anger rising within me. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I was ready to unleash a torrent of frustration on the next person who dared to honk their horn. But then something strange happened. In that moment of peak frustration, I had a revelation. I realized that my anger wasn't changing the situation. It wasn't making the traffic move any faster. All it was doing was making me miserable. So I made a choice. I chose to let go. I took a deep breath, loosened my grip on the steering wheel, and decided to use this time differently. I turned on an audiobook I'd been meaning to listen to for weeks. And you know what? That traffic jam became one of the most productive hours of my week. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Anger is like a fire. Left unchecked, it can burn everything in its path, including ourselves. But when controlled, it can warm us, energize us, and light our way through the darkness. So how do we make this shift? How do we go from being controlled by our anger to controlling it? The first step is awareness. We need to become intimately familiar with our anger. What triggers it? How does it manifest in our bodies, in our thoughts? In our actions? For me, I noticed that my anger often came from a place of fear or insecurity. When I felt threatened or out of control, anger was my go-to response. It was my shield, my way of protecting myself from vulnerability. Once you've identified your triggers and patterns, the next step is acceptance. This doesn't mean accepting bad behavior or harmful actions. It means accepting that anger is a part of you, a part of your emotional landscape. It's not good or bad, it just is. This acceptance is crucial because it allows us to stop fighting against our anger. When we stop seeing it as the enemy, we can start seeing it as information. Our anger is trying to tell us something. Maybe it's pointing out an injustice. Maybe it's highlighting an area where we need to set better boundaries. Maybe it's pushing us to make a change we've been avoiding. The key is to listen to your anger without letting it dictate your actions. This is where the real work begins. I want you to imagine your anger as a small child. When a child throws a tantrum, what's the best response? Is it to scream back at them? To punish them? Or is it to calmly acknowledge their feelings, to try to understand what's causing their distress, and to guide them towards a more constructive expression of their emotions? This is how we need to treat our anger, with compassion, understanding, and firm guidance. One technique I found incredibly helpful is the pause. When you feel anger rising, pause. Take a deep breath. Count to 10 if you need to. This simple act creates a space between the trigger and your response. It gives you a moment to choose how you want to react rather than being swept away by the tide of your emotions. During this pause, ask yourself what's really going on here. What am I really angry about? Often you'll find that the surface level trigger isn't the real issue. Maybe you're not really angry about the dirty dishes in the sink. Maybe you're feeling underappreciated in your relationship. Maybe you're not really furious about the traffic. Maybe you're stressed about being late to an important meeting. By digging deeper, we can address the root cause of our anger rather than just treating the symptoms. Another powerful tool is reframing. This involves looking at the situation from a different perspective. Remember, our anger often comes from our interpretation of events, not the events themselves. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. Your immediate reaction might be anger. What an inconsiderate jerk, but what if you reframed it? Maybe that person just got a call that their child is in the hospital. Maybe they're rushing to say goodbye to a dying parent. Or maybe they're just having a really bad day and made a mistake. By reframing the situation, we open ourselves up to empathy and understanding. This doesn't mean we excuse bad behavior, but it allows us to respond from a place of compassion rather than rage. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I like my anger. It makes me feel powerful. It gets things done, and you're not entirely wrong. Anger can be a powerful motivator. It can push us to fight injustice, to stand up for ourselves, to make positive changes in the world. The key is to use your anger, not let it use you. Channel that energy into constructive action. Are you angry about a social issue? Get involved in activism. Are you frustrated with your job? Use that energy to update your resume and look for new opportunities. Are you upset about a personal relationship? Let that anger fuel an honest, respectful conversation about your needs and boundaries. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel angry. The goal is to express that anger in ways that are healthy and productive both for ourselves and for those around us. This brings me to an important point, the impact of our anger on others. Uncontrolled anger doesn't just hurt us, it damages our relationships, our reputation, our opportunities in life. How many times have you said something in anger that you later regretted? How many relationships have been strained or broken because of uncontrolled outbursts? By learning to control our anger, we're not just improving our own lives, we're creating a ripple effect that touches everyone around us. We're creating safer, more respectful environments in our homes, our workplaces, our communities. But let's be real, this isn't easy. Changing our relationship with anger is a process. It takes time, effort, and a whole lot of patience. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you lose your cool. And that's okay. The important thing is to keep trying, to keep learning, to keep growing. One practice that's been transformative for me is mindfulness. Mindfulness is about being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we create a space between our emotions and our actions. We become observers of our anger rather than being consumed by it. Try this the next time you feel anger rising. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Notice where you feel the anger in your body. Is it a tightness in your chest? A heat in your face? Just observe these sensations without trying to change them. Notice the thoughts running through your mind. Are they true? Are they helpful? Just watch them come and go like clouds passing in the sky. This practice helps us detach from our anger. We start to realize that we are not our anger. We are the awareness that observes the anger. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. Another powerful tool is gratitude. It might seem counterintuitive to focus on gratitude when you're feeling angry, but hear me out. Anger and gratitude cannot coexist in the same moment. By consciously shifting our focus to what we're grateful for, we can short-circuit the anger response. The next time you feel anger bubbling up, try this. Stop and name 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big things like your health or your loved ones, or small things like the cup of coffee you had this morning or the sunny weather. By redirecting your mind to gratitude, you're changing your emotional state. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be carrying anger from past experiences, trauma, abuse, injustice. This kind of deep-seated anger can be particularly challenging to deal with. If this resonates with you, I want you to know that it's okay. Your anger is valid. It's a natural response to pain and mistreatment. But I also want you to know that you don't have to carry this burden forever. Seeking help from a mental health professional can be incredibly valuable in processing these deeper angers. Remember, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-love. As we continue on this journey of mastering our anger, it's crucial to develop a toolkit of coping strategies. Different techniques work for different people, so it's about finding what resonates with you. Physical activity can be a great outlet for anger. Going for a run, hitting a punching bag, or even doing some vigorous cleaning can help release that pent-up energy. Creative expressions like painting, writing, or playing music can also be powerful ways to channel anger into something beautiful and meaningful. Breathing exercises are another valuable tool. When we're angry, our breathing often becomes shallow and rapid. By consciously slowing and deepening our breath, we can calm our nervous system and regain control. Try this. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4, and hold for 4. Repeat this cycle a few times and notice how it affects your emotional state. Journaling is another practice I've found immensely helpful. Writing about your anger can help you understand it better. It can reveal patterns and triggers you might not have been aware of. Plus, the act of putting your feelings into words can be cathartic, helping to release some of that pent-up emotion. As you develop your anger management toolkit, remember that prevention is just as important as reaction. Are there certain situations or people that consistently trigger your anger? Can you limit your exposure to these triggers? If not, can you prepare yourself mentally before encountering them? For instance, if you know you have a challenging meeting coming up, take a few minutes beforehand to center yourself. Use some of the techniques we've discussed: deep breathing, mindfulness, gratitude. Set an intention for how you want to show up in that meeting. By proactively managing your emotional state, you're less likely to be caught off guard by anger. Now, let's talk about communication. Often our anger stems from feeling unheard or misunderstood. Learning to communicate effectively can significantly reduce anger in our relationships. One powerful communication tool is the use of I statements. Instead of saying you always do this or you never listen, try expressing your feelings without blame. I feel frustrated when this happens. I feel hurt when I don't feel heard. This approach is less likely to put the other person on the defensive, opening the door for more constructive dialogue. Active listening is equally important. When we truly listen to others, seeking to understand rather than to respond, we often find that our anger dissipates. We might realize that there's been a misunderstanding or gain insight into the other person's perspective. Remember, the goal of communication in conflict isn't to win. It's to understand and to be understood. When we approach our interactions with this mindset, we create space for resolution and growth rather than escalation and resentment. As we continue to work on managing our anger, it's important to celebrate our progress. Notice the times when you successfully navigate a triggering situation. Acknowledge the moments when you choose a thoughtful response over a knee-jerk reaction. These small victories are the building blocks of lasting change. At the same time, be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns. When this happens, don't beat yourself up. Instead, view it as a learning opportunity. What can this moment teach you about your triggers? About your needs? Use it as motivation to recommit to your journey of growth. One aspect of anger management that often gets overlooked is self-care. When we're stressed, overwhelmed, or depleted, we're much more likely to lose our cool. Taking care of our physical and emotional needs isn't selfish, it's essential for maintaining emotional balance. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Eat nourishing foods, move your body regularly. Take time for activities that bring you joy and relaxation. When we prioritize our well-being, we build emotional resilience. We create a buffer that helps us weather life's inevitable storms without being swept away by anger. As we near the end of our time together, I want to circle back to where we started. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate anger from our lives. Anger, like all emotions, serves a purpose. It can motivate us to make positive changes. It can help us recognize and protect our boundaries. It can be a catalyst for personal growth and social progress. The key is to make anger work for us, not against us, to use it as a tool, not a weapon, to let it inform us, not control us. Imagine a world where we all had this level of emotional mastery, a world where disagreements led to dialogue instead of destruction, where frustrations fueled positive action instead of violence, where we responded to injustice with focused determination rather than blind rage. This world is possible, and it starts with each one of us in this moment making the choice to take control of our anger. As you leave here today, I challenge you to pay attention to your anger. Notice when it arises. Get curious about it. What's it trying to tell you? How can you respond in a way that honors your feelings while also respecting others? Remember, this is a journey. There's no finish line, no point at which you'll never feel angry again. The goal is progress, not perfection. Each time you choose a thoughtful response over a reactive one, you're rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that make it easier to manage your anger in the future. You have the power to change your relationship with anger. You have the ability to transform this powerful emotion from a destructive force into a constructive one. It won't always be easy, but I promise you it's worth it.
The freedom you'll feel when you're no longer at the mercy of your anger is incredible. The positive impact it will have on your relationships, your career, your overall well-being, it's truly life-changing. So I invite you to join me on this journey. Let's commit to mastering our anger, to using it as a force for good in our lives and in the world. Let's choose understanding over reactivity, compassion over condemnation, growth over stagnation. Remember, you are not your anger. You are the consciousness that observes it, the wisdom that guides it, the love that transforms it. You have everything you need within you to make this change. As you go forward from here, carry this truth with you. You have the power to control your anger before it controls you. You have the ability to respond rather than react. You have the strength to choose love over fear, understanding over judgment, peace over conflict. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today, you've taken that step. You've chosen to embark on this path of emotional mastery. And I want you to know that I believe in you. I believe in your capacity for growth, for change, for transformation. So go forth with courage, with determination, with compassion for yourself and for others. Remember that every moment is a new opportunity to choose how you want to show up in the world. Every interaction is a chance to practice what we've discussed here today. You have the power to rewrite your story, to change the narrative of your life. You are not defined by your past reactions or behaviors. You are defined by the choices you make in this moment and the next and the next and the next. So choose wisely, choose consciously, choose love, choose understanding, choose growth, and watch as your world transforms around you. Thank you for your attention, for your openness, for your willingness to embark on this journey of self-discovery and emotional mastery. Remember, the power is in your hands. You can control your anger before it controls you. Now go out there and create the life you deserve, a life of peace, of purpose, of profound connection with yourself and others. The world is waiting for the best version of you. The version that responds with wisdom instead of reacting with anger. The version that chooses understanding over judgment. The version that uses the fire of anger not to destroy, but to illuminate the path forward. As you leave here today, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. A commitment to be more aware of your anger, to be curious about it rather than afraid of it. A commitment to pause before you react, to choose your response consciously.